Hi, everyone. There's like 18 of you early birds in here, so I like that. Sorry, I was on the presenter screen. I was clicking through the slides because it wasn't going automatically. And then I text Cindy and she's like, yeah, it's not working. I go back and fix it. So sorry about that. Thanks for hanging on with my technological struggles because it's a real thing that I struggle with. So, um, let me spill the beans on why I'm here ahead of time, because obviously we are not scheduled to start until I'm in Central Time. So we're not scheduled to start till 7. But if you attended our last meeting and you have the prestigious honor of a VIP status, which anyone can get, and I'm sure we will talk about that because it's VIP Member Appreciation Month. But all that said, if you were here last month and you were a VIP, then your name is about to go spinning on my magical prize wheel. And this month, our fabulous prize is $5 off our NLHG online shop. So kudos to you for thank you for being dedicated to NLHG. You make what I do possible, and you make what all of us across the US do. So thank you so much. We love every minute of it, and we appreciate your support. So let me find my magical wheel of happiness, and we will do that. Yay, people are already dropping in the chat where they're from because you guys know what's going on. I love it. Okay, let's see here, magical wheel of happiness. Where are you? Bum, bum, bum. We don't want that one yet. We want this one. All right, Zoom. Let's share my screen. Oh, that's not what I want either. Nope. Here we go. Share screen. May VIP attendees. We're going to share that. We're going to make it big. Yay. Okay. So here we go. Let's see who's going to win. Let me make sure I have my ready, because I'll lose it if I write it down. I forgot to take Miranda off, so yay! There we go. Mary is our winner of our VIP attendees for last month. So thank you so much. There we go. We're going to stop our share. Hi. Okay. See, that goes super fast. I probably need to do this later on. But as most of you are already doing, if you haven't already, go ahead and drop in that chat where you're from. As I mentioned, and it'll be mentioned as we progress through here, that it's VIP Member Appreciation Month. So we have some special things that we're doing during our gathering tonight, which will be super special. I hope that you guys are enjoying spring. Like, I know it's almost like this is the month where it turns summer, but we go from like what, North Carolina and Georgia, and I'm in Oklahoma. We go to Idaho and Oregon. So we have people all across the US, and I know Idaho is just now getting to where you don't have to wear a sweater. So thank you guys. Oh, Northern or Western North Carolina. There we go, Julie. Read words. So I hope you guys are enjoying your spring and that people are getting ready to plant or have planted or are harvesting. We harvested like 50 or 60 squash and zucchini, and we haven't planted any the last 2 years because if anyone plants those, you know that squash bugs come and they invade, and then you're screwed. So our first year planting it in like 2 years, and so I'm thrilled with our harvest, but I know I won't be planting it again next year because the bugs will be back. They always are. If you have any insights on how to get rid of those little boogers, you send that to me at media@nlhg.org, because I would happily take all of your advice. So we've got about a minute before people are going to start flooding in here, or my hope is they start flooding in here since we start at 7 o'clock Central Time. I know we're, like I've already said, we're all across the US. So wherever you are, thank you for joining us. And if I haven't checked our attendees, but Mary Callahan, if you are in here, you won our VIP member appreciation for the previous May gathering. You have a $5 off coupon coming to your email, my beautiful friend. So yay, yay, yay. I'm still going to give it that, like, I don't know how many seconds we have until 7 o'clock my time, but it's coming, and I know people are coming in, and I know we're all getting there. I'm going to close some of my windows on here so we can be prepared for the sourdough awesomeness. Have you heard guinea fowl eat squash bugs? I don't know if that's true or not. I have not that many guineas. because they're loud. But I have 4, but I don't normally let them in the garden because they will bring the chickens. But that's a good idea. I wonder if that's true or not. Let's see. Squash bug. Oh, okay. So what I used to do, Karen, that's a great suggestion, is I used to plant, and then as soon as I saw them, I'd pull all my plants, and then I'd wait 2 weeks, and then I would plant new ones, and they like got wise to that. I don't know. But okay, it is 7:00 my time. Yay! Ready to start. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. First things first, I know several people are already doing it, but if you can drop a quick hello in the chat and let us know where you're from. We love to see where our participants come from all over. I love it. Tonight, as you probably know, and why you're here, we have a treat for you because we are diving into the basics of sourdough with the one and only Becky, my favorite, Homeki Johnson. And believe me, when I say that after catching a sneak peek of her presentation yesterday, I have no doubt that you'll be walking away with this amazing newfound confidence in your sourdough skills, because just doing the practice yesterday made me feel like I got this. And I've had sourdough starter in my refrigerator for 3 years, and I have done 2 loaves with it. So I promise all of us will be walking away with this awesome confidence. So if you are new to our NLHG virtual gatherings, let me fill you in on how tonight's going to unfold, so to speak. We are sticking with this webinar format, which, like I said, if you're new, then that is what you know. That's how it works. I can't see you. You can see me, but I can't see you. And that's how a webinar format works versus how a Zoom meeting works. But if you have been in the past, there's a couple of things that you should have a heads up on. We have bid farewell to our breakout rooms, and I have opted to extend our webinar format. This way, our fantastic speaker tonight, Becky, can address all of your questions right here, right now, and we're not hopping back and forth. So, let's see. And making sure I wasn't missing something, because we have lots of fun things going on tonight. So that is June and Miranda, who are both behind the scenes making this happiness happen for you. So while we're waiting for all of our ladies to hop on board, I just want you all to drop in the chat where you're from, what you're doing, and your sourdough experience. Is this your first time with sourdough? I know it's like exploded in the last few years. So let me know how you feel about sourdough, what you think about sourdough, what is your experience with this magical thing that we call sourdough. Teresa's new to sourdough. Like I said, I've had a starter for 3 years, made 2 loaves. I give it away. Jane knows nothing about sourdough. Oh, where are you from in Oklahoma? I have, like I said, very limited experience. So I promise, and you can hop in my email and send me a nasty email if you leave here and you don't feel good about it. But I would personally guarantee on myself that you will leave here with a really, really good, confident feeling in how to start sourdough, how to figure it out, at least take a chance with it, which is all any of us can do. So I'm so excited. Northeast Oklahoma, yay. I make sourdough bread in the winter and sourdough pita in the summer. Wow, that's awesome. That's super cool. See, Anne, you and I are the same. I have a starter in the fridge and I'm scared to do anything. So yes, let's see what Sydney says. Pennsylvania. I have a friend going to Pennsylvania tomorrow. I'm super interested in making sourdough. I have a friend with a starter, but I haven't made the leap. You will not fail. It's going to be awesome. I'm super, super, super pumped for it. I'm telling you, her presentation yesterday, I was like, Becky's got this. She's going to make us all feel super confident. She's going to be mad at me for saying all of this because she'll be like, I can't guarantee it. Well, that's fine. I guarantee it. You guys are going to be just fine. So I see some people from Northeast Oklahoma. Yay. Yay. I'm super excited. Yes. So I am from, I'm in Inola. So yay. Let's see. Robin says, you guys can read the chat. I am not going to read the chat. Plus it's 7:05, which means that I need to move on to my next thing. Because if I get sidetracked, we all get sidetracked. And then we never know what the sourdough enlightenment that will be gifted to us. It will never happen because I will get sidetracked and we'll go down too many rabbit holes. So I'm going to bring on the fabulous, amazing, if you don't know her, you will here in a second, Cindy Ball. Cindy is the founder of National Ladies Homestead Gathering. She is awesome, phenomenal. She likes when I say all these things. She is amazing, and we're so lucky to have her again tonight because they drag her on every single month and make her do the same thing every single month. And she does it with a smile on her face, and I love it.
So I'm actually going to turn tables tonight on Julie because I do want to do a shout out to her. She does this faithfully every single month, and I would love to see all of you thank her in the chat for the phenomenal job that she's been doing. She has 3 very busy boys. In fact, when I talked today, she goes, I'm coming. I just had to drop them off for BBS. And then they've got sports and all that kind of stuff. So just a huge shout out to Julie for her faithfulness to all of you in making sure that this happens every month. And she's the one who gets the speakers and oversees all the technical stuff. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this. So much appreciated. All right. After the accolades to our wonderful and fearless Julie, I want to remind us all why we're here. Our purpose for being here and why we have the National Virtual Gathering is to empower women through homesteading. And empowerment it is. And when we hear June get on here and do the Atta Girls, you will understand the empowerment that happens through homesteading. And then how do we accomplish that in the National Ladies Homestead Gathering? We accomplish that by sharing knowledge, building community, and growing friendships. And so we were incredibly thankful that you all are here tonight, our virtual community, and for sharing with us. And I just appreciate you and thank you so much for being here today. And Julie, I'm going to hand it back over to you. I lost her.
Here I am. There we go. Yeah, that was so sweet, Cindy. I didn't come back on because I was crying. So yay for me.
You're so welcome.
You guys. You guys are so sweet, and I just love it. I love being part of this. It's so much fun. And you guys are so sweet. Thank you for all of your super, super, super kind words. It means a lot. So, as Cindy mentioned, it is now time for a segment that never fails to bring a smile to all of our faces, and especially mine. It's Atta Girls. So in our private online community, which our incredible ladies never cease to amaze us, and I say us because there's so many of us in there. It's really fun. I really enjoy it, but they never cease to amaze me with all of the accomplishments. I mean, most of you guys are in here. What you all do is phenomenal. I just love it, and it's so inspiring. I can't help really but feel like a sense of awe at all the fantastic things you all are capable of. And tonight we have the absolute pleasure, and she does this for me every month, of having June, which I like that her name is June, and she's here in June doing VIP member appreciation when she is our dedicated membership director. So June, I know we have lots of things to cover tonight, and you are not just doing the Atta Girls. I know you have other very special segments coming up for us. However, let me hear what our inspiring stories, tales, things, all of the stuff that our magical women have been doing.
Thank you, Miss Julie, the amazing Julie. I am so excited to share our Atta Girls. You guys, you ladies are amazing. In our online private community, we have a post and we share what you all have been up to. You have the opportunity to post and share. So I will share some of those with you. Teresa said she finished the pond in the greenhouse with the help of a girlfriend. Atta girl. Karen made it through her 2nd round of chemo. She's feeling stronger every day and hopes to catch up on her homesteading projects. Atta girl, Karen. Robin captured her first swarm of bees, and she posted a picture of that. Atta girl. Leah said she was finally able to get out and get something done in her garden. Atta girl, Leah. Ashley said after getting the weeds cleaned up, she replanted a few crops. due to a low number of actual plants. Cindy is halfway done with her raised vegetable beds and got her chicks in the coop, working on the outside run now. Atta girl, ladies. Felicity had a crazy busy May. She ordered a seed oil press, harvested the first bok choy and first sugar pea of the season, planted more sunflowers and the last of the late spring and early summer crops, and bought the last 3 plant starts of the season. Atta girl. Danielle said her plants are in. Atta girl. Pam emptied her house in Auburn, Washington, and it's sold. She's so excited, no more trips back over there. Plus, she was given a bunch of raspberries and strawberries that she gets to plant tomorrow when she gets back to heaven in Priest River. Atta girl, Pam. Daphne is working on insulation and electrical, and she moved her huge potted roses out from their winter trench. Figs, blueberries, elderberries, and asparagus are happy in their pots. And on top of all of that, she made some lavender Earl Grey sugar cookies. Amazing. Atta girl, Daphne. Monica, she shared she built a cottage nearly 2 years ago. Melody had a large mulch bin that came made of reclaimed blocks, and she's slowly been using up the dirt because she wants the mulch bin closer to the garden. She'd been thinking about where to put blueberries and finally figured it out. So she used a bunch of the blocks to build a blueberry bed, also making an apothecary garden, and hubby made a fence and started installing it yesterday. So hubby gets an attaboy too. Cheryl said everything is started in the garden and some things are on the second round. She's dehydrated tart cherries and ate too many as well. Atta girl, everyone. Jennifer harvested onions, fed lettuce, and sugar snap peas. So yummy. She's been successful with square foot gardening containers, and her plants are all growing. Atta girl. Ruth is working at putting in a tea garden. She planted so far different mints, bee balm, and wild bergamot. Bergamot? How do y'all say that one? Atta girl, Ruth. That actually sounds super interesting. Let's see. Amy painted her whole pool house, planted lots of corn, okra, tomatoes, and squash, raising her first meat birds, and she's been dehydrating several pounds of bolted onions. Atta girl. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we have here? You girls have been busy. Amazing. All right, Monica. She got her raised beds planted from a stool as she's healing from a new bionic knee. Ah, that's amazing, Monica. It worked really well. Tomatoes, onions, peppers, 12 flower pots also planted, her version of raised flower bed gardening. Mulch around them soon, cinder blocks all around the chicken coop planted with parsley and begonias. Let's see here. Protected from chickens with hardware cloths, so she has pretty views. Pole beans, squash, pumpkin, watermelon, zucchini, sunflowers on her to-do list this week. It feels so wonderful to be playing in the dirt once again. Hugs, ladies, she said, we rock our homesteads. All right, atta girl. Let's see here. I feel like I need to be, since we have so much going on this week.
We do have so much going on. And so I figure you probably need to get on your phone so then you can join as whatever the heck we're doing here. Because there I am and here I am. It's so fun. So you're probably wondering, why the heck, Julie? Why are you in 2 places at once? Why do you have this? And if you're on our private online community, you can see 2 places. The reason for that is that, like I mentioned, and Jane's already said, today is, today. this whole month is our VIP member appreciation, and I'm super pumped about it because we have some really awesome giveaways. Roots and Harvest is one of the most amazing people I have ever, companies that we have ever come in contact with. And me on a personal level, I love all their stuff, but the things they do to support us are phenomenal. So if you didn't see, I believe I have them pulled up. So I'm going to pull things up. Uh-oh. Okay. Hopefully I didn't just double speak. Oh, there we go. I was worried that I was going to get an echo, which it sounds like I might. But let's see here. I'm going to. Okay, let's see. Where am I? What am I doing, Julie? What are you doing? What are you doing? Here we are. Okay. I'm going to share my screen to show you all what we are going to be giving away. So if you are part of the VIP members, I keep saying that, from June, here we go. Come on, pictures. There we are. Okay, we're going to give away two things. And I don't know what June is giving away first, but there's one. This is the VIP member sourdough starter. And I know my people in my webinar are like, what are you talking about, lady? I don't know what you're talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Yay! Okay, so here is this. That is what we are giving away for our VIP members tonight. And you should see the wheel, my poor wheel. It took it with my country internet, it took it like 15 minutes to load. And then my favorite part about it is that I always try to save it and share it to my own email. And for sure, it said I had inappropriate words in my giveaway list, and it would not let me send it. Said they were not family friendly. What does that mean? Like, I promise you, they were family friendly. I don't know what that's about. So, okay, it won't. Oh, there we go. Maybe it'll let me switch down here. Here's the other one. Roots and Harvest does such a great job. Like I said, if you get on there, we have a discount as VIP members. So if you don't win this tonight, make sure you check out the VIP member discounts because you get all kinds of stuff. So people are probably like, hey, that's enough. But these are so cool. I mean, look at all this. This big book of kombucha is phenomenal. And then this is what we're talking about tonight. Like, how cool is that? Super cool. I love it. Okay, let me see here. I agree. That book is amazing. So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing here. And then for all of you that get like OCD crazy about different screens being open, I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I have lots of tabs and lots of places, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Here we go. We'll go back to Zoom. We'll go back to share. Dun, da, da. There we are. Here we go. We're going to move my happy Zoom people over here and then close this. All right. So there are over 700 names on this happy magical wheel. So I don't know how to, it's even going to pick. So we're going to pick two. Let's see. June, do you care which one I give away? You can text me because I can tell them you'll get one and then you'll get the other, but we'll have to figure out who's it going to be. I don't know if I can be the boss of that. If I'm going to be the boss, let's see. Julie, it's a spin on Mighty Networks, and June, just you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the kombucha one first, just because I like kombucha. It's lots of fun. We're going to do sourdough second because it begins with an S and that's an alliteration. And there you go, English people. Here we go. Oh gosh, is it going to spin? I was a little worried there. It looked like it wasn't going to spin. And it doesn't, it looks like it's frozen on my Mighty Networks. So sorry if you're watching from Mighty Networks, but Wendy Gerner of the Bonner, Idaho chapter, yay! I'm sorry that is frozen on Mighty Networks. That makes me sad. Hopefully it's just on my end. But Wendy, congratulations. Yay, you have the kombucha bundle from Roots and Harvest. All right, we're going to remove you. Not that I don't love you, but you can no longer participate in my wheel. And then we'll do the sourdough one. So let's see how this goes. Boom. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Spinning, spinning. I like that like random super bright stripe there. Brooke, yeah, Brooke's been a presenter of ours on Meet Rabbit. So hey, great job, Brooke. Congratulations. I am so excited. There we go. Brooke, congratulations. You've won the sourdough. So if you are a VIP member, your name is on that wheel. I know you probably can't see it, but we are so, so thankful for you. June, is there anything that you want to come on here and say? I can move my camera, though it does still appear to be frozen on here. There we go. Is there anything you would like to say? And then maybe it'll come up on my phone. Gotta love country internet.
You're amazing.
I
Thank
love
you. Thank you. And congratulations. I'm so excited, Wendy and Brooke, for being our first 2 VIP winners for a VIP appreciation. All month, we're going to be doing Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern on our Mighty Networks private community. We're going to draw 2 names from that wonderful wheel. All of those names on that wheel are VIPs with Ladies Homestead Gathering, very invested partners. And so this month, we're celebrating your partnership with those prizes, and those were sponsored by Roots and Harvest. So be sure to go and check out their website. If you go through our website and pick up your VIP savings code, you save a substantial amount on their website. So be sure to grab that and go over and support them as a way of thanking them for their support of what we're doing here. So thank you, Julie. And thank you to all of our VIPs. We will see you next week, 8 p.m. in Mighty Networks with 2 more winners.
Yay! I love VIP Member Appreciation Month. It's tons of fun, which if you're not a VIP member, it is $35 for the year. You can join on our website. You don't have to have a local chapter. So if you're joining from someplace that doesn't have a local chapter, if you want to start one, you can email. I know how to make that happen for you, but it's also on our website, which is, there's lots of things, but ladieshomesteadgathering.org. You can check us out on community.nlhg.org. There's all kinds of options. So it's $35 for a year. You never have to become a VIP member, a very invested partner, as June says. You never have to do that to participate in our gatherings. We know, especially right now, money's tight, things are hard. We want you to come have this community, but if you feel that calling or you want to be a part of it, that's where we are in that world. So yay, thank you. That was fun. Miranda she's the one dropping my links tonight. I forgot to mention that. So thank you, Miranda, and thank you, June. So by joining that private online community, you gain access to abundance of knowledge. It's a really supportive network. You don't have the worries of getting kicked off of other social media platforms for using specific words. We won't name names, but we all know who's been there. And it's an opportunity to foster a genuine friendship. I have made friends from across the United States, and I would have never done that without that. So it's an incredible experience. If you haven't already, make sure you check it out. And I hope you become a part of our vibrant, fun, entertaining community. I would be thrilled to have you join us on there. So we're going to move on to another exciting executive staff member who has been working behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, all over the world with our upcoming cookbook. Teresa is our fantastic director of fundraising. Apparently I'm addicted to alliteration tonight, but she's going to spill the beans on what's up with our culinary masterpiece that she is working on. So Teresa, I love your pretty face. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you, ladies. Brooke and Wendy. Woo, girls, I'm jealous of that. And the Atta girls are amazing this month. You ladies really rock. You know, looking as everybody was signing on tonight, I was so happy to see so many names that I recognize from recipe submissions. And you talk about Atta girls. Holy smokes, you ladies rock it. So much so that we are very, very rapidly nearing our limit to the number of recipes that we're including. So initially I had told everybody that we would accept recipe submissions until July 8th. But you guys have just knocked it out of the park. And so if you want your recipe in this year's cookbook, we need to have your submission by the 16th of June. We are going to cut it off at that point because we're just about at our limit. I'll tell you, we've got some great main dishes. We've got some great desserts. We're a little low in appetizers, soups and salad, bread and rolls. And I know you guys are here. We're all here to learn about sourdough. So if you have some great recipes, please share those. In addition, we can use those appetizers, soups, and salads. So until June 16th, hurry, 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 get them in if you want to see your name in our cookbook featuring all of you wonderful, wonderful women. Thanks again. And thank you, Julie. I appreciate your time.
Of course. I think that's so much fun. Teresa, we were on our executive staff call on Monday, and she was like, there's some of you that were practicing at Frolic that haven't finished it. And I was like, oh, that's for sure me. And mine's a soup, so I got to finish it because we need more of those. So I will get on it sometime. I promise. I promise. So thank you guys so much for submitting all of those. It's I love it. Our one from a couple of years ago is still one of my favorite things to pull out. And there's all kinds of things in there. I mean, there in the last one, there was like how to make a rabbit's foot. And then there were salves and tinctures and desserts and all kinds of stuff. So make sure you share those, especially in those areas that Teresa mentioned. There's you never know what we're gonna pull out of there. It's really good. But as always, I always have more to share. I don't know if Jill is on here tonight, but our extraordinary marketing director, Jill, she always works tirelessly. I'm going to have a problem enunciating tonight. It's a good thing I am not presenting. But she works tirelessly to curate some of the cutest and most delightful items for our online store. You do not want to miss out on what she has in there. She changes things, she adds things. There's so much stuff. So make sure you head over and check out our online store. VIP members should have gotten an email that has your discount code. So make sure you check that out. If you did not get it, make sure you reach out because we want you to have access to some truly charming designs. She just does a fantastic thing. So before I bring Becky out, I know I'm talking a lot and you guys are putting up with me fabulously. Thank you. I appreciate you listening to my stutter tonight. You're rock stars. But before I bring her out, I have some exciting news to share about our awesome Wallace, Idaho event. It's going to be awesome. It's a highly anticipated, in my opinion, national gathering. It is taking place on October 6th and 7th. And you will need to be prepared to be inspired because there is a lot of phenomenal speakers sharing their homestead wisdom. Let's see, Miranda sent them to me. So sustainable small poultry flocks, which chicken math is a struggle. I asked last month for people to help me start a support group for people that bought more chickens. You all failed, and I bought 10 more today. So seriously, I should probably attend that. How to find your bartering currency. Ooh, that sounds fun and intriguing. I need that as well. And beyond basic cheese making and more. So there is so many engaging demonstrations and booths and things to explore, and you get to discover all kinds of new and exciting things. So like I said, that is going to be October 6th and 7th, but there's an extra treat for those of you that want to stay longer. On October 8th, there is an optional walk for walking in their footsteps, North Idaho's trailblazing women. I think that sounds very fun. You take a deeper dive into the histories and stories of that region. And since I've never been up there, I think that sounds awesome. So make sure you secure your spot. I'm sure Miranda's dropped in the chat. You don't want to miss this chance to be part of a national gathering. They are really, really fun. So we've got one coming up this month. So there's all kinds of stuff. Thank you, Miranda, for dropping that. Make sure you get in there. That sounds like some really fun, different topics. So super, super, super fun. Ooh, I am running 5 minutes over. So I will bring back Becky on stage tonight. I want to thank you so much for saving my rear end. Not everyone knows what happened behind the scenes, but Becky has saved me and I'm so, so happy. If you have never attended, I want to make sure that you all know that there is a happy little Q&A function. So the Q&A function lets you ask questions without me having to figure out where you are in the chat. So make sure that you use that Q&A function to ask questions tonight. Becky is going to answer those questions during that. So you type your burning questions and I shall read them as I run her presentation, and I shall interrupt her and ask. So get those keyboards ready, get your note taking ready. We're going to have a super awesome interactive presentation tonight. So let's have our sourdough curiosity satisfied. CSC, not exactly. And we're going to take our baking skills to new heights. That's my only, that's all I got. No alliteration anymore. So Becky Helmsky, let's join us on this fabulous virtual platform and let's get going. There's
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm gonna pull your presentation up. So if I'm behind the scenes, that's what I'm doing.
That's okay. While you're busy with that, I would be remiss if I didn't give you congratulations and praise for the way you have managed your talent, your up and coming talent. I appreciate the work you put in to let me practice and kind of get this technology stuff figured out. So kudos to you. And I also want to thank the National Board for the invitation to speak tonight. Welcome to my kitchen. And I'm going to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to come into your kitchen and your home to share my passion of sourdough. So a bit about me. I baked my first loaf of bread, and it's funny that I would even remember it when I was 10 to 12 years old, but it made quite an impression on me. And at that time, I didn't know that that was going to grow into a passion of mine, but it has over the years just become something that I enjoy so much. And with that passion, I want to share it with you. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea. We're going to have a chat. And what I mean by that is we do want you to feel free to pop your questions into the Q&A section, and I'll answer them as we go along. And then we'll also have time at the end of the presentation to go in depth to any other questions that you have. Okay, so before we get started, I must caution you. I think we need to move a little on the slide. Did I lose Julie? Oh, there we go. That's me. And I can't tell you how many people I have taught bagel making. That's one of my favorites. It fascinates me that there are the phases of the rise and the boil and the bake and the toppings. So those are not sourdough, but I love the bagels. I had mentioned that I started as a 10 to 12-year-old baking bread, and now almost every week I have several products that come out of the oven. I live on a homestead of 35 acres with my husband and dog, and let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I caution you, I gave this presentation to the Cherokee County group of National Homestead Ladies, and this is what posted in the days following. Need I say more? We'll move on. So, who are my mentors? These two gals I feel like are my BFFs. I'm on a first name basis with them. They don't know who I am, but I'm on their YouTube channel every day. And what's interesting, Shay at the Elliott Homestead and Lisa with Farmhouse on Boone do an excellent job of instructing in all nature of maintaining the home, from gardens to cooking to sourdough. And what's interesting about these two gals is they're at the opposite ends of the spectrum of sourdough. Shay Elliott, she goes with what's called the dry method. And a dry sourdough is the consistency of putty or cookie dough. You can handle it, you can pinch it off, you can mold it, you can do things that you can't do with wet sourdough. Now, the wet sourdough is called that because it's the consistency of pancake batter. And I found that the rigors of the dry starter was a little bit more than I could handle. In other words, I tried 3 times and I failed 3 times. And I didn't give up. I just continued my journey until I discovered the wet sourdough method. It's a lot easier, less strict, and I found success. I could make so many different recipes with this wet sourdough that it just became a joy to work with. Either way is fine. In fact, I did jump back on Shay's blog, and I found that she has an easier technique. So I am a curious person. I'm a lifelong learner. That is something I think I might go back to, and it may be something I'll be able to teach y'all at a later time. But for now, we're going to look at just how easy the wet method of sourdough starters can be. Thank you. First, the equipment is minimal. A glass container, I use a pint ball jar, mason jar. A measuring cup, you don't even need that once you start to eyeball things. I like the funnel because I can make a big mess otherwise. And a wooden spoon is recommended. Now, in place of the wooden spoon, I like to use chopsticks. They're real easy to clean, they're real convenient. They fit the bill. Now, some people say that a metal spoon will react with the solution. But to be honest, I've used a metal spoon to stir it up in the past, and I can't tell you that I saw that it affected it in any way. So again, though, with what the recommendation is, wooden spoon or chopsticks. Next, the ingredients. Now, get your pencils and papers out. It's flour and water. If you're on city water, I do recommend that you use filtered water, or at least set it out for 24 hours to let the chlorine evaporate. If you're on well water and you feel comfortable that it doesn't have any extras in it, then like me, I just pull from the tap water. But here's the thing, you want to encourage conditions that favor the right balance of flour, water, the natural yeast and lactic acid bacteria that's in the air. Now, you can get as scientific as you want, but you can also be pretty lax about it. And that's the approach that I take. The wet method uses 100% hydration. And all that means is for every 1 part of flour, you match it with 1 part of water. Again, if we go scientific, you want to go by weight because the weight measure is going to be more accurate. But me, I use the, that looks about right method. When I say add enough water to look like pancake batter, then you look at it, well, it looks about right. And that's going to work for you. Now, here's the thing. You've probably heard a lot about discard when you're having to build your starter from scratch. Nobody wants to waste money throwing away cups and cups and cups of flour. But that's not a bad thing, because if you don't practice the discard part of this process by discarding half of your batch every day, you're going to end up with gallons of starter, and you probably end up throwing that out as well. And when I say throw it out, discard and throw out are 2 different things. So relax. This is not as complicated as it may seem if you've never done it before. So we'll get into what we do with all that discard a bit later. Now on this slide, I go through a 7-day process, and you're pretty much repeating the same thing every day. You're going to mix, when I say 1 to 1, It can be 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water. It can be a 1/4 cup of flour, a 1/4 cup of water. I've even seen things done with tablespoons of flour and water. So just do 1 to 1. Now, if you're not weighing it, the rule of thumb is you can be a little shy on the amount of water that you put in. And if you're thinking again does it look like pancake batter, something that you're familiar with, then you know you've got enough water. If it looks too stiff, dribble a little bit more in. You're going to do that on day 1. On day 2, you're going to discard half, and then you're going to mix in the 1 to 1 ratio again. Now I use, as in this picture, a pint jar to mix my starter in. I find that's not quite big enough to have a full cup of water and a full cup of flour. I usually do about, using this container, I would do about a 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of flour. Day 2, we just did, you discard and you put 1 and 1. Day 3, day 4, day 5, you do the same thing. Now, one of my tips is, for me, I'm a early bird. I'm not a night owl at all. So I always start any baking project before 8 o'clock in the morning, so that as it has a 10 to 12 hour, sometimes a 24-hour ferment, I don't have to be up late at night or through the night. I mean, I have pulled a couple of those, but again, my tip is start by 8 or so. When you get to day 6, you're going to split it up and you're going to feed your sourdough twice, 12 hours apart. Now, again, this is not an exact science, so chillax. Just know that you're going to do it twice in that day. If you aren't precise on the hours, you know what? It's going to turn out anyways. Day 7, you do the same thing. It's twice a day. Now, if you have a bubbly mixture, you can bake on day 8. But you may not have a house that is as full of yeast as my house, so it might take you a couple of more days of this twice daily feeding. And, you know, just go with it. If it looks bubbly enough, give it a try. I guarantee you that anything that you bake, even if it doesn't come out perfect, your family will eat it. They will love slathering butter on it and eating it that way. You can always turn a failure into breadcrumbs or croutons. So what I want to convey tonight is you can do this. Don't sweat it. Now, I would say, can it get any easier than that? If we get a click on the slides, it'll say, well, by golly, we can drop that 7-day process down to 4 days. Julie, can you give me a click and I'll put up the recipe underneath that picture? No, back up one. Oh, you did it. I'm sorry. There you go. I was looking at the wrong screen. Technology, huh? It can get easier. Take a look at this. Now, the thing that allows us to shorten the time of our ferment and sourdough development is that if you use a freshly ground flour, especially a rye flour, then you will be able to build your starter in a 4-day period. Now, I can't see the screen as far as what those ingredients are. I hope you can in your kitchen. But this recipe uses the 2 tablespoons to 1 tablespoon. And so you're really ending up with a very small amount. You're still doing a discard. You're still feeding it almost every day, but you can start your bread product, your baking, on the 5th day. So, do I hear an amen? That looks like it's something that we can do. All right. Well, now the next slide is taking a look at what my day 3 looked like when I developed a batch of starter from scratch in April. Again, you see the starter is in the small pint jar. And then as I discard, I just pour it into the quart jar. On the right, both my starter and my discard are bubbling right along. This is a very healthy start. And again, if you don't see these bubbles by day 3, it's not a failure. It just needs a little bit more time to collect the yeast that's naturally in the air. All right, let's look at our next slide. What do we do with all this discard? Well, my favorite things, of course, I put in the picture. And of course, the pizza is front and center. But did you know that you can put your discard into peanut butter cookies, any kind of cookie? I did an almond biscotti that is now on my list for gift giving because it comes out so beautifully. Crackers. Wouldn't you like to give up buying those boxes of Triscuit and whatever else they are? I made some whole wheat crackers that tasted exactly like Wheat Thins. So, I mean, it's worth going out there and experimenting. On the left bottom is another one of my favorites, and that's the flatbread. And flatbread can be used as a base for a pizza. It can be a wrap. I just had a piece buttered up, and that was good enough for me. But with all of these things that are on this list, I will give you a caveat, and that is don't do sourdough pasta. That was such a big flop. I can't imagine why you would put sourdough in your pasta. For those that are curious and want to explore, go right ahead. I did it, but I'm not doing it again. All right, so now I'm going to go a little bit off script here. I wanted to give some kind of demo, and I thought, well, the quickest thing is the pizza crust. All you do is you pour your sourdough starter, no recipe, no mess, no nothing. You just pour your sourdough starter right on a hot skillet. It crisps up, and you've got a wonderful base for a pizza crust. Nice and crispy. But as I was preparing, as you can see, I think you can see here, I've got a few of my weekly products that I literally do almost every week. I thought, you know what would be more valuable? Showing them something that they can do, like pour liquid onto a pot, or share with you one of the things that I don't really like about bread baking, but I've come up with a remedy. So I have a tip, and that's what we're going to do. So let me move this over until we can talk about this later. And for those that really want to see how pizza crust is made, I've got the skillet in the oven. So if we have time, we'll do that. Before we go too much further, Julie, do we have any questions?
I think the majority of the questions you're going to answer, but I'll let you tell me, and it says, how can I keep an active starter without baking constantly? And I think you're going to answer that one here in a little bit. So then I have, how do I refresh a dry starter? And I think you're going to answer that here in a little bit. And then how do I refresh a frozen starter? And I know you have an answer for that one because we talked about it yesterday. And then, yes, why discard and what can I do with the hooch? And I know you talk about hooch here in a minute. So I think
Great questions. So we'll get there. Perfect. But the reason I wanted to go over this now, I'm going to try.
We got one that's kind of pertinent, Becky. It says, when making starter on day 6 or 7, do you discard half or just add the same amounts of flour and water every 12 hours?
Same amount. You're always doing 1-to-1 ratio. So very good
Perfect.
question. All
All
right,
right, that's a great angle. Thanks, Becky.
does that help? Okay. So for somebody who loves bread dough and everything about bread dough, I don't like getting my hands dirty. So when you're in the dough, a wet, sticky dough, which most of the sourdough bread is, I think it's yucky trying to pull it off your hands, and then you need to pull up your sleeve and you get sourdough all over that. So let's just take a look at it and see how I do it, because I like this. I'm halving this recipe because I think you saw how much flatbread I've already got. So the recipe is 2 cups of flour, a cup of starter, teaspoon of salt, and half a cup of milk. Look it up on Farmhouse on Boone to make sure that I got those correct. So I've already mixed my salt and my flour, and I need to add a half a cup of my sourdough starter. So I keep mine in a jar this big, and it's kind of bubbly in there. So this is not discard. This is my fed starter. And it has that wonderful yeast smell. So my hands are clean. I'm going to go ahead and grab a half a cup, and I'm going to be a little bit generous. See it? Now, I don't know. I was raised to get everything out, so excuse me while I get that out. And then I have 1/4 cup of milk. Now, who wants to put their hands in that? Yeah, kind of, but no. I use a French spatula. You can get them on Amazon. One of my favorites is through Pampered Chef. If there are any Pampered Chef ladies out there that want to send me your link so I can order some more, that's one of my favorite ones. But look how I turn and push. My hands are just fine. They're not going to be a mess. I don't hear any oohs and ahs, Julie.
I think it's an ooh and ah for sure.
All right, now look, I've almost got all the flour incorporated. Now, I still don't like to put my fingers in it. I scrape this off, and the more it gets manipulated, the tighter, more silky and uniform it gets. So at this point, if this was bigger, I might put it on the counter. But for now, I'm doing a little bit. You know what I didn't do is I didn't put in a little bit of extra flour. This one's a little bit more wet. Remember how much sourdough starter I put in it? But this allows me to not get so involved and so personal with the dough on my hands. Now, that being said, okay, yeah. But at this point, it's practically done. If I weren't in front of the camera, I would grab my flour. I would put a little bit more flour in here and then just knead it just a little bit more. Now, because this is a sourdough, it's going to go on a 2 to 4 hour ferment before we cut and shape, roll out, and cook the flatbread. But here's the flatbread that prompted me to do this demo instead of the other one. Look at that. Is that beautiful? I love it.
I
It
love
makes
them.
the best sandwiches. And you see how easy it came together. Now, let me get rid of some of this.
Becky, while you're washing your hands, I've got a couple of questions. Carla asked, what kind of milk will 2% work? And then Allison wants to know if you could use goat milk in the dough.
yes and yes and yes to just about everything. And you can use water, you can use almond milk, you can use well, that's a nut milk, goat milk. You just need a liquid. Now, I probably shouldn't admit it, but I just love cream. And usually when something calls for milk, I have heavy cream. That's what goes in it. It just depends. I don't know enough about how each type will change the product. I just know that no matter what I add, it still comes out like the product I just showed you, and I'm happy with it. So anything else? Do we want to, how are we on time? Do we
You
want
are
to?
doing fantastic. It's 8:55 where you are.
Okay. Who wants to see a pizza crust?
Let's do it. I'm gonna wait for it. See, Sydney said yes. Yes, Felicity said yes. Everyone wants it. Go for it.
All right, now, where did I put it? Here it is. Excuse my back. This is a 400, oops, this is a 400-degree oven. I probably should put this up again.
If you want to move the camera, because they're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, okay, how's that? This is coming out of a 400-degree oven. I'll go into this later, but this is from my freeze-dried starter, not freeze-dried, dehydrated starter that I ground and put in the freezer for long-term storage. I pulled out 2 tablespoons 2 days ago, and this had risen all the way to the top because it was already an active starter. And you notice, and we'll talk about this later, there's a ripeness to your sourdough. When it starts to expand, it starts ripening. When it fills to its highest level, you've got a fully ripe product, and that's going to yield a more tangy sourdough flavor when it's ripe. But once it reaches the peak ripeness, then it starts to deflate. So when we started this meeting, I was at the top. You can kind of see the skim that was left. It had gotten to the top. It had reached its full ripeness, and now look how much it's dropped just within the hour that we've been meeting. Okay, now if I don't do this, it's not gonna be hot enough. So it's sizzling. And now I might be a little more careful if I was doing this. Oh, it's starting to get a little too hot. So y'all know how to pour. Y'all know how to spread. What am I telling you? You can do this. It's not rocket science. You can do this. All right, so what we're going to do at this point is, this is a basil salt that I ground last year. I also do a Tuscan salt, and that recipe came from, it's not really a recipe, but I learned that from Shay Elliott on the Elliott Homestead YouTube video. Put your, in this case, oregano or Italian seasonings. Sprinkle a little bit of olive oil. Put it back in for another 10 minutes. Don't let me forget, I'm gonna have to put the timer on, or we're gonna have 10 minutes. And when it comes out, let me go ahead and come back up. Ow. Are we good? When it comes back up, comes back out, you can put whatever your regular pizza toppings are. You can put your red sauce, your white sauce, your more olive oil, your herbs, your veggies, your meats, and your cheese. Goes back into the oven for another, 15 minutes until it's the doneness that you prefer. And that's the pizza. So we've done 2 things tonight. We've realize that we don't have to get our hands totally dirty. If I had a little bit of flour that I could have sprinkled on it, my hands wouldn't have looked like what they were. And you can make pizza crust. And that's like the finale of your week of sourdough baking. So let's see where we are.
You're rocking and rolling. Becky, Sheila wants to know, if you don't own a cast iron, what would you do, or what would you use instead?
Anything that can go in the oven. Now I have stoneware, pizza stoneware thing. I've used that, but because it has a little rack in order to hold it and take it in and out of the oven, that rack gets in the way when I'm trying to cut it hot. So that's why I always pull out the cast iron. But anything that can be preheated in a 400-degree oven for 30 minutes. You know, you want that real searing crispiness when you add your dough, your starter.
That makes perfect sense. Are you ready for me to pull the presentation back up?
Yes.
Julie, I had a quick question first, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
I can't access the chat, or the Q&A, so I wanted to ask her. Becky, can you accumulate your discards, or do you have to use them as soon as you discard, or can you put them into another container?
You can put them into another container. Your discard is simply something that has not matured to the point of your sourdough starter. So I showed you in this example, it had risen all the way up to here. But then over time, it settles and settles and settles, and you'll look in there and there won't be any bubbles. You'll stir it, there won't be any bubbles. That's discard. It's a flat, non-active, inactive flour and water mixture. So if you just put this in the refrigerator and let it go, it's all the same. You put it in the refrigerator, and then when you're ready to deal with it, you pull it out and you start feeding it. The main difference is I have a mature starter. So this process is going to go real quick. I think Tammy from Cherokee County is on the line, and she'll attest. I gave her some of my starter, she fed it, and it was instantly usable. So if you have an immature starter, this process is going to take a little bit longer. But you're right about putting it in the refrigerator, because the refrigerator is going to slow the process and preserve it. If you leave it at room temperature too warm, it's going to be more active and need more feeding, and you'll have to use it faster. So yeah, put it in the refrigerator.
Okay, thank you.
Eventually it becomes your starter, because it's going to have aged enough to bubble
Yeah,
up.
that's what I was wondering, if it would eventually do that. So thank you very much for the explanation.
Okay. Now the other thing, like I said, I don't freeze dry anything. I have a dehydrator, and for the first time, I poured this onto the little silicone mat, or you can just use parchment paper. Put it in there for, I did mine at 95 degrees for 20 hours, and it comes out like a crispy cracker. And then I pop that into the food processor, and 4 trays of a dehydrator yielded this much starter. And I had never done that until this week. I took out a tablespoon of this, mixed it with a tablespoon of water, let it sit until all these little crispies softened up. Then I added a half a cup of flour and a half a cup of water. That's what you saw in here. This, I used a little bit of rye flour, and that's another point. You can mix and match your flour. I'm looking at my shelf over there. I am all out of whole wheat. I'm out of einkorn. I'm out of all-purpose. all I have is 00 and bread flour, and then the freshly ground rye flour. And I just used what I had, a cup of this, a cup of that, you know. So feel free to experiment. And if you start with rye, but you really want it to graduate over to more of a whole wheat, then just start feeding it whole wheat and it'll get there. Okay, so where am I at? All right. So I can acknowledge that if you've not done this before, there is some level of intimidation. But let's roll, Julie. Take the next slide. And I want you to look at the products that the ladies of Cherokee County homesteaders produced after my presentation in April. Now, click it. You might have, I think you just click it once. There we go. Look at that. That was a first time biscuits. Another boule. English muffins. Aren't they beautiful? And then we've got 2 more artisan loaf boules. And one of the next steps after you used to forming a round ball. Oh, okay, that's good. We'll talk about that. Why don't we talk about that? What really gets fun is when you can start scribing little decorations within your bread dough and see how beautifully it bakes. Let me show you my, can you go back to live? In fact, so one of the issues I have with, well, any bread baking, not just sourdough, I put every baked product immediately in the freezer. I pre-cut my bagels. I don't pre-cut my sandwich loaves, but I get every loaf, everything in the freezer, and then I pull out the piece at a time. It usually lasts 2 days on the counter until I discovered this. This is one of those wax, eco-friendly sheets of fabric that perfectly preserves this artisan loaf. And see, I attempted. Now, am I happy with how that turned out? It's not perfect. Do I still think, yeah, that's cool looking? Would I serve it? Would anybody say I'm not going to eat it because it's not? Ladies, what you can find is whatever you produce is going to be right. It's just going to be right. So this, if it came out of the freezer or if I started cutting it, this came out of the oven yesterday. I wrapped it in this and I haven't had this long enough. The reports are that this is going to last well over a week with being wrapped in this type of it's called a foodie wrap. Now, let's just take a look. I'm all about hands-on. Let's go this way. Can you see? Now, yes, this seems tough. This is not one of my favorites, but it presents well, and it really does taste good. Now, you're not going to see a bunch of the crannies and the holes that is typical of sourdough, but I don't like that. I don't like my jelly and my butter to fall through the holes. So that's why I have more of the consistency of the wet sourdough starter because I'm not after the holes and bubbles. Okay, so there we go. This is going to last well over a week on the counter, not in the freezer. Okay, real quick, let me take the pizza out. Okay. Oh, I might not have had enough oil on it, but I want to let you see this side, how crispy it gets. And it's definitely something that you can top with cheeses and meats and have a good pizza night with your family. Okay, let me regroup, see where we're at. If you'll go to the next slide, I want to give a shout out to Kathy Mosley. She's the one that introduced me to these foodie wraps. It's her home business. She is extension, what do you call it? Agricultural extension home economist from years past. And it turns out that we both graduated from the same program at Florida State University, just years apart from each other. So looks like it, foodie wrap, what it says underneath there, I don't know why it changed, but it has solved all of my bread issues with it going stale. And Kathy was kind enough to donate for our group a drawing. So Julie, do you want to do a quick spin and see who would be the lucky winner? This is an 18 by 20 beeswaxed cloth. It's the same one as this. So look how big it is. Oh, you're gone. It's huge. It'll wrap a bowl. It'll wrap your sandwich loaves. You can use them to cover a bowl that you're putting into the refrigerator. It'll keep things fresher longer. I wrap my cucumbers and bell peppers, and I mean, I don't want to tell you how long they can be wrapped and still be good.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give our wheel a spin.
All right. Whoever gets this is truly a lucky winner, and my thanks to Kathy. And her information is will be in the slides here if you want to reach out and all sizes. This is just the bread one. Who do we have?
Cheryl Franklin. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Cheryl. I tell you, out of all of the things that are my favorite tools that is necessary as a bread baker, this is one of them. The French spatula is one of them. I encourage everyone to, if they're going to bake bread, get one of these. Oh, and a bench scraper. You have to have a bench scraper. Other than that, you know, I have just about everything, Benetton's and Bosch mixers and all of that, but you can do everything by hand. So ladies, don't be afraid. Now, what's our next thing? I think it's just a recap. I'm a visual learner, so if we go to the next slide. One more. Okay, so if we review and pull everything together, let's say you want to give this a try on Saturday morning. I recommend 8, 9 o'clock because come next Friday, it's going to be 8 or 9 o'clock at night that you're still feeding it. So Saturday, water 1 to 1. It sits on the counter. Sunday, 8 in the morning, you come in, you put half of it in your quart jar, and you do 1 to 1. In your pint jar, you're safe with a half a cup, half a cup. The third day, start looking for bubbles on your third day. Click, if you click it, and you're gonna, on the third day, you're gonna have practically a cup of starter, of discard. You can go ahead and click. And that discard, for me, I always start with cookies. Peanut butter cookies are my favorite. And then it sits on the counter. You wake up the next morning on, is that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Yeah, no, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So on Tuesday, discard into your quart jar. Now you're gonna have maybe over a cup and a half. So you might wanna make some flatbread that morning after you feed your small pint jar. Then go ahead and take a cup for your flatbread. You're done for the day. Leave it on your counter. Then the next day, Wednesday, you discard half. And again, this amount is getting bigger and bigger and bubblier and bubblier. And at this point, I think I had, what did I say? Made crackers? Let's do a click. Well, let's just move right along. Okay. The biscotti. Oh, farmhouseonboone.com. I get almost all my recipes there. This is one of hers. Oh, she even does sourdough muffins and sandwich bread and cinnamon rolls and you name it, she has a recipe for it. Again, now when you get to Thursday, what do we do different? We're going to feed it twice. 8 in the morning, discard, give it the cup and a cup or half and a half. Then at 8 that night, feed it again. At 8 the next morning, oh, and I have crackers there. I think that only takes a half a cup. So if you've only used this much of all the starter you've produced, by Friday, yay, you can make tons of pizza. Each crust is about 1 cup, depending on, well, of course, size, but you're gonna have enough starter to have a family pizza night with that real easy technique of just pouring it onto your hot pan. And then if it's bubbly enough the next day, and you're gonna use your judgment and you're not gonna be wrong. If it's borderline and you wonder, but you have time to bake that day, go ahead and bake. And if it doesn't come up as round as like the loaf that I showed you just now, it's still going to taste good. It'll make a great French toast. It'll make great sandwiches. And then you're going to keep going and your sourdough is only going to get more and more rich with the depth of the sourdough. Okay. Now that
Becky,
Yes.
it says when you use the discard recipes, are you using it in place of the flour and the existing ingredient? Let me make sure I read that right. When you use the discarded recipes, are you using it in the place of flour and the existing ingredients? I'm one of those people who follows recipes instead of experimenting.
Okay, yeah, good question. I'm a recipe follower. I just know that I flub up a lot, and in that sense, I'm an experimenter. But I use the recipe, and just like I showed you for the flatbread, you start with 2 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt. And then you scoop out or pour out your 1 cup of starter, of discard. It can be flat or it can be bubbly. You're just gonna have a puffier flatbread. In fact, the flatbread that I made today is the puffiest I've ever had, and I do like the results. But the thing is when you go and you pull your starter out of the refrigerator and you say, oh, look how much is still there. I haven't been baking this week, and it's all flat. You know, if I'm going to reinvigorate it and it's 2 inches high, I have to fill up enough flour and water to double that. So I try to use up discard or flat starter. I try to use that up till it's the bottom of the bowl, because just the scrapings on the edge of the bowl is enough for those little bacteria to get started. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And then we had I had a couple of people say that. So this is the Elliott Homestead. That's what you're looking for on my phone. And mine says the ElliotHomestead.com. So I believe that's the link that we dropped. But I know some people were saying we had the wrong URL. But that's what I pulled up on my phone. So it's just the ElliotHomestead.com.
Yeah. And she has a YouTube channel. And that's usually what I go to. Oh, what got me onto hers is a recipe for breakfast scones that was just out of this world. So look that up. Okay, now the next thing is very important, and I do want to wrap up because I don't want it to get too late. But now that you have your starter, how do you maintain it? And we've touched briefly on it, but it all depends on how often you want to bake to determine how you're going to maintain it. So all you go-getters out there that plan to bake daily, you can just keep it on the counter. It's going to be very active at room temperature. And that means it's eating up all the sugars and everything that is in the mixture. And it's going to be bubbly, it's going to be hungry, and you'll need to feed it every day, and you'll need to use it every day. For the rest of us, I can't bake that often. Just put it in the refrigerator, and that slows down the fermentation process. And you could leave it in there. You could feed it once a week. Now, I made a note there, consistency matters. When you get into a routine, it's not only good for you, but it's also good for the starter. But the honest truth is, I could have travel plans or work plans or whatever, and I might not bake for 2 weeks, or I might go a month. And it's just sitting in the refrigerator. It's getting flatter and flatter. So when it's time for me to bake, I pull it out. I decide, well, how much flat starter is there? And then I scoop it out and put it in the recipes. I'll make cookies, I'll make flatbread, I'll make biscotti, I'll make pizza. Those are my go-tos. And then with what's left, you get it down as low as you can because it's easier to feed. And you, is it getting late? You just feed it at that point. Leave it on your counter until it doubles. You really want to see it double within, I'm going to say, I think it was 2 to 4 hours, but I think I want to say even a little bit more, maybe up to 6 hours. By then it might be starting to flatten again. And you want to use it if you're making an artisan loaf or the English muffins, anything that has volume in it, that you want that fluffy airiness in it, then you want to use a fed starter. But anything that can be flat as pancake, just use the flat starter. Okay, now for even longer storage, and this is what we already covered, you can dehydrate it. And you can put it in the freezer and it will last for months. Did I give you the degrees? I did mine at 95 degrees for 20 hours. You don't want to go more than 120 degrees because then you're going to be killing off your yeast and bacteria. I told you how to rehydrate. Are there any questions on the rehydrating of a dry, dehydrated starter?
I'll give people a couple of minutes to post in the chat.
Reconstitution is going to go a lot faster than your original batch because even though it's dry, it still has a lot of yeast already in it.
All right, Bonnie says, do you add the 1 tablespoon of water for rehydrating, then add 1 to 1?
Yes, I got it all softened up. I had it in a little custard cup, just enough water. It was like 1 to 1, 1 tablespoon of the dry stuff and 1 tablespoon of water, and my little chopstick just whipped it around. And then as soon as it was creamy, I poured it into the pint jar that I showed you earlier. And that's when I started using a whole bunch of different kinds of flour. And that was yesterday. And then today when I fed it, I just could not get over that it was already up to the top. So that just goes to show you that it is highly active when it's coming out of the freezer like that. You have not lost anything. right, well, you want to look at the next slide?
Yes,
Because
Cindy
this
said,
is
can
what-
you freeze dry the starter?
I'm sure you can, but because I've never done that, I really don't have much advice. There, well, wait a minute. I don't know what the temps are. The temps are very low, right? You're freezing it. I'll have to get back with you on that. I would rather not speculate, but I love to do my research, and I can put something out there on Mighty Networks.
Yeah, that would be great. Brenda wants to
And-
know, when we have it on the counter, do we cover it with cheesecloth or do we use a canning lid?
Well, here's my tip. I have a bunch of gems this evening, don't I? You know what I use? I take out one of those coffee filters. Now, I don't use a coffee filter in my equipment, but I just keep a stack of them because they're so useful in the garden and in the kitchen. And I cover it with that coffee filter. And what I like about that, now some of you ladies may not be at my milestone of years, but if your memory is starting to go, you can just write down day 1, feed, day 2, discard, and strike through it every time you do an activity with your starter, and you don't have to remember anything, and you just throw it away, the lid at the end. But I have also, I don't put the metal ring on it. I use those little white caps that you can get from Walmart. I will lightly set that on top. If you remember the jar that is my starter, the big, what is it, 2 or 3 quart jar, that lid does not fit snugly. It's very loose because it does need to breathe. And you don't have to, like kefir, where you wrap it in a towel or anything. You don't have to do that. You don't want it in, direct sunlight. You're not going to put it on your windowsill. I just put it in the corner of my kitchen counter. Okay.
Perfect. Where do you store dehydrated starter?
Well, I put it in the glass jar and I put it in the freezer.
Perfect.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised. You could probably leave it in your pantry, but you're not going to get the length of storage that having it in the freezer gives you. So it just depends on whether you're using it regularly enough to leave it in the pantry, or if you're doing it for long-term storage for the time that you've totally forgotten and this next picture of what a horrible forgotten batch of starter looks like. If you get to that stage, then you want to be able to jump into your freezer or your pantry and have that freeze-dried to start over with. Okay, ladies, I confess that came out of the back of my refrigerator. I was trying to juggle 2 batches of starter. One was whole wheat and one was just my regular all-purpose flour, which is one of my preferences. I used to grind wheat. I might get back into that. Right now, I'm in a phase where I'm comfortable with the processed white flour. I know I'm compromising some of my nutrition and shelf storage, but that's what fits my lifestyle right now. And what I am trying to encourage you is do what works for you, and do it with ease and do it with joy. Now, hooch happens. This came out of the back of my refrigerator, like I told you, because I didn't maintain keeping 2 of them going, especially when I didn't want whole wheat bread. It ended up getting pushed way back in the refrigerator. And when I found it, I mean, that was like 1/4 to 1/2 inch of that black hooch. Now, normally you can just pour that off and then stir everything up and start feeding it again. You can revive it. The black liquid is just your starter saying, feed me. The thing you have to look for and be careful of is if there's any tinge of pink or orange that is toxic. And you do need to throw that away. So I was examining that rim there, and if you enlarge on your screen and you look carefully, you're going to go, is that pink? Is that orange? And if you're questioning, throw it out. It's toxic. The other thing is, if it's fuzzy, that's not hooch, that's mold. Throw it out. But if you've left it in the refrigerator and it's been 4 months and you pull it out and it has a black liquid on it, depending on how much liquid, you can just stir it in, or if it's a lot of liquid, just pour it, drain it off, stir it, feed it, and it's revived. Okay, now, here's for our, I think y'all were talking about nerdy chicken math. This is for those that really care about the mildness or the tanginess of their baked product. I just eat bread, and it doesn't matter if it's on the tangy side or the mild side. I generally lean towards the mild side, but these are the considerations that you would want to be aware of. And again, if you're going for the tangy, real sourdough, San Francisco sourdough flavor, put a little more water in it. Give it a little bit more loose consistency. Keep it in a warmer temperature. Maybe you do it this way during the summer and then chill and say, you know, in the winter, I'm not going to try to make it tangy. I'm going to recognize that my house is cooler and it's going to be a mild sourdough. Here's the step where you feed when it's more or less ripe. The riper it is, the tangier it's going to be. That's kind of a no-brainer. And then you can feed, you don't have to be on daily, weekly, you can feed as often as you want a new volume of sourdough. So, gosh, this week, because of all the baking I did, I think I made 3 batches of that large jar that I showed earlier. And so that was frequent feeding. You can let it go all the way down real low and then do 1 big large feeding of 2 cups of flour to that little bit of that's left in the bottom of your jar. And that is going to throw the balance towards the lacto acid bacteria for the tangier taste. And using whole grains will give you a tangier taste. Now, I think one of the questions that came in earlier online had to do with, can you do a gluten-free sourdough? Yes, you can. Now, I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to set off on that journey. I mean, I might, because I have seen a little bit of an increase in intolerance of gluten. So, number one, if you are making sourdough, that is a long ferment process. It's the fermentation that breaks down the yeast, the wheat, that makes some people think they're gluten intolerant. And if that's the case, the first step of doing sourdough is going to make that wheat more digestible and maybe resolve your issues. But if you have something as severe as celiac disease, then I encourage you to do your investigations. And if we go to the next slide, I wanted to share with you that my niece was diagnosed with celiac disease, but she took what was going to be a challenge and a disappointment and, you know, what can I eat now? And she has turned it into a blessing, not only for herself and her family, but she is opening a business in Atlanta that caters strictly gluten-free products. Now, she's not a bakery yet with breads, but she can answer your questions about the gluten-free life. And for those that are local to the Atlanta area, will be, I mean, look at these charcuterie board and desserts that come from her hands. I just wanted to share that life with a gluten-free life can, in this case, sometimes outshine what we eat in the gluten world. So I cannot answer to the gluten-free sourdough, but there are resources online. There are resources like this business that I encourage you to investigate. And her website is online where you can explore what her story is and how she overcame it. She no longer has the rashes, anemia, headaches, brain fog. She has healed. So that's my encouragement. I think that brings us to the end with 9:30. So I think we have some more time if there are any other questions. I want to close with how much I enjoyed sharing this with you, how much I hope to see on Mighty Networks, all the pictures that will come out with y'all trying some of the sourdough recipes. And I'm available to answer questions. I didn't put my contact information up there, but I'm on Mighty Networks in the Cherokee County group. And that's Cherokee County, North Carolina.
Diana wants to know if you can dehydrate and vacuum seal the jar.
Oh yeah. I almost vacuum sealed this one, but then I thought, no, I think I'm going to be using it a lot. So definitely. And vacuum sealing it and putting it on your pantry, I would only be guessing. I haven't read documentation, but I would think it would last a year, if not more.
Perfect. Tam wants to know, when you dehydrate the starter, you said 95 degrees, but she missed how long?
I did it for 20 hours. I did it shorter because I was following YouTube instructions. And what I found is it looked like it was dry on the top. The edges were all crispy. It was a uniform white color. But as I lifted it off of the mat, on the underside, you could see a difference in color, indicative that there was still moisture in it. And so I went to 20 hours. That was sufficient. But every dehydrator is different. I think the main takeaway is that you would not want to accidentally get it set at 120. I don't even think I would do 110, but according to the documentation, it's 120 will kill your yeast and bacteria.
That is amazing, Becky. You did such a phenomenal job. Everyone's thanking you. They're all like, "Oh my gosh!"
Well,
So
I mean, I am just so grateful and thankful for all of you, for a community of like-minded women, and again, I just love this stuff. So feel free to reach out, and I can work with you to bring you some success. And I think by the pictures you saw of the Cherokee ladies, I call that success. Those were beautiful first-time loaves and people who had not done it before, and look what they produced. So please, I encourage you all to give it a try.
yes, make sure you reach out to Becky or tag her in your post. Even if you're not in the Cherokee County chapter, you can find her in the members list on Mighty Network. So that's community.nlhd.org. I know Miranda has dropped that link so many times, but you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for coming. Becky, you are phenomenal. And it's such a blessing to be able to learn all together and do all of this and have hands-on and answer questions. I love the first Wednesday of every month. Just so you all know that if you are a VIP member, this presentation, I'm going to stop our recording and put it, it'll go up onto the VIP section of our website for everyone, for all the VIP members to view by next Wednesday. And then everyone else will have access to it on our YouTube channel. And that'll be the first Wednesday in July. So make sure you check out our YouTube channel. We've got beekeeping on there, naturopathic medicine for animals, foraging, there chickens 101. There's all kinds of stuff on there, and Becky will be on there as well. So make sure you check it out. I love that we're just forever posted on YouTube.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, so we'll see.
You sure will. You sure will.
It was fun. It was